Morning, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Um, I just want to make sure that everyone has a good sense of how to approach assignment completion. So, this is something you should do for each and every task. So it might be obvious, but a lot of people are missing steps, and I think that's because you have to approach it as each unit has a big question that is being explored. And if you don't have that context, then when you just skip down to the assignment, it's going to feel like you don't know what you're doing. So I say here, step one is read unit content and understand the big questions. What are we trying to evaluate? Okay. So let me just switch back to activity one, unit one here, right? So if you're this is at the very top of unit one. And it says, in this unit, you will be investigating whether the time period between 1914 and 1929 was a period of progress or decline for Canadians. The terms progress and decline are connected to the historical thinking concept of change and continuity. Remember, that's one of the major topics of Unit 1 that you were quizzed on, what historical thinking is. So this is one of those important evaluations that historians are always making about change and continuity. So, what is progress? Well, if you look here, they provide a graphic organizer that allows you to establish a criteria for what progress is. Let me just pull it up for you. It looks a little something like this. So, setting my criteria for progress and decline. So, if you do this exercise, even though it's not asked of you to complete and to submit, and you're not getting marked on it, it actually helps you understand what progress might look like. Very important, somewhat important, not important. So there's all these ways in which you can evaluate it. And of course, you in a small paragraph and in history in general, you can't evaluate everything. So you have to focus on some of these. So that would be step number one. Then when you go to the actual activity two, so this is more specific to the assignment. It says over the next, this is the I read I think therefore I am graphic organizer. This is how you're establishing evidence. It says over the next series of content pages, you'll be introduced to many primary and secondary sources, account of the conflict and changes. At the end, you will write a paragraph response to what extent this time period is one of progress or decline. So it's asking you to use this to collect your evidence, right? And then when you go down to the actual paragraph response, it gives you all of the steps it asks you, the assignment thinks you need to take. So you need to use the graphic organizer. Then it says you need to state your main argument clearly in a topic sentence. This is part of the success criteria. Then it tells you how to write the body and what kind of evidence you want. It says carefully review the treatment of all Canadians, including minority groups and women. Consider providing a counter argument. It says all these things. And then I don't think you can see it here. It says access the rubric, right? And so then you can look specifically at how you're going to get a level 4 in these 4 categories, right? And then the last way in which you can see that is when you go to submit it and you go to the paragraph response, when you click on this is from your view, not from my view, that same rubric should come up, right? So before you ask any questions about an assignment, and I'm not saying you shouldn't ask questions to me, you should always ask questions to me. But remember, read the unit content, read the activity content specifically. So in this case, that's A activity 2 for unit 2, and pay specific attention to the graphic organizers that are needed or that they suggest you use. Use them because that's kind of like a roadmap for success. Then read the success criteria and the rubric, right? And make sure that you're following it. Kind of treat it as a checklist and then double check the success criteria before you hand it in. And if you do all those things, um, that's great. If you're emailing me, you should be asking me a clarifying question about something related to this. Oftentimes, I'm getting more questions that show me you're not reading the content and you don't really understand the context. And the only way to get the